Welcome back to Tiny Bunny. Where we last left off was in the school. Tiny Bunny indeed. Where we last left off was the school. He's the one who hated Burrum. Burrum just went missing. This little dude right here, the bully guy that was beating up me. You think he did it? Or he's a weirdo. I hurriedly rubbed my glasses. The glasses. Simon was clutching them in his fists while I was getting beaten up. And in just a couple of hours, this lost item was laying on the ledge of my window. It was hard to imagine that Simon suddenly got guilty conscious and returned my glasses in such a strange way. I was shocked, but kept walking towards the classroom, accompanied by nasty whispers all around me. That photo still stood before my eyes. Simon has gone missing. Simon is gone. His fat fingers will never get to my throat. His signet ring won't smash into my chin. He'll never humiliate me again. Wasn't that what I wished for? On the other hand, did I really wish Simon to become a murky stain on the notice board? He was still someone's son, or grandson, and he went through the same struggles as me. Did I really wish for my unseen companion to dispatch of him in such a brutal fashion? I didn't know the answer. Or I was just scared of it. Nonetheless, school had still had something nice about it. Polina, the girl with the violin, was like a mountain spring, like well water that you'd gulp down, pressing your lips against the zinc outer ring of the bucket. Can't ever get enough. Remembering our walk yesterday cooled off my head. Polina's hatred towards dogs, while understandable, was still alarming. Could a charming girl like her really be nesting something so repulsive inside her heart? I immediately remembered my dad's shady past that recently resurfaced. A person I idolized was the reason for us moving to this bleak countryside. At least he was, according to my mom's screams that were coming from the other side of the wall. Still, Polina tried to defend me from that delinquent gang, even as she failed at it. She was pleading with Romonka to leave me alone and gather my belongings that were strewn around the forest while fighting tears. And when those bastards tried to drag her away, she resisted with all the might she had in her fragile body. In the end, she was the one to find my house, lost among the taiga, and told my dad that I lied there alone in the dark, abandoned in the middle of the forest after the beating. Maybe I'm being too harsh on her. What if I make her one of the characters in the story I draw? The protagonist. We'll save her from terrifying monsters. As soon as I thought of the monsters, a bunch of my classmates slid down the rail, smirking like the xenomorphs from the Alien. I immediately felt larva of fear drive in my stomach. I didn't want to cross paths with Ramonka and Bushia after what happened yesterday, especially since Simon suddenly went missing. Helena seemed eager to talk to me, but her expression soured after noticing the aforementioned duo, and she walked past, leaving me a single sorry look. I entered the classroom and went towards the last row. All the chatter suddenly died down, so I walked there in complete silence. It felt like my classmates pushed and poked me with their stares. They carefully observed my every move. They looked at me with a mortifying mix of pity, ridicule, and decision, like a scientist looked at an ugly representative of a newfound species of worm. I stared at the desk with a huge pile of library textbooks on top, my fists clenched. It felt like I was the one who disappeared in that snowy forest, and my desk was finally used for something worthwhile. Simon's empty chair stood in front of me. The chair that once belonged to Ivona gathered dust somewhere in the other classroom. Looking at the portraits of the classical writers, my eyes stopped on Ismin's photo. Last year, I was tasked with learning any poem, and Dad suggested I learn one about a dog, Jim, written by Essenen. I don't remember all the stanzas by now, but Last one was somehow deeply ingrained in my memory. I'm sure she'll come here in my absence. Please catch her eye, go kiss her hand for me. For all my real offenses, I was asking forgiveness of her inhumanity. What? Ooh, an old cheap slide projector. I called this model a tank because it looked like one. There was a time when I had a lot of cool fairy tales that we used to watch with Dad in complete darkness. I remember Little Raccoon and One Who Sits in the Pond, Kipling's Mowgling, and many others. I was immediately swept away by the memory of the projector's hum, of a hot casing, of its bright rays hitting the wall, turning it into a screen. It's a pit that where the school slides were mostly about minerals and PSAs. Every boy my age I knew had something like this in their arsenal. Powder firecrackers that blew up with a very loud sound, especially inside an archway. It is said that they are produced in China and that a single one of them can blow your fingers off if you light it up and clutch it in your hand. Especially the black Corsair type. They won't be enough to blow up plastic soldiers, but when it comes to stuff made of plaster, they should work. After a moment of hesitation, I sat down at Brum's desk in place where I was supposed to be assigned by Lily Palaval at first. Chatter resumed as if someone just unpaused a movie. Brahma's grandma made such a fuss when he didn't return home. First, she ran to the school, then called the cops. Yes, yes, yes. Kata snuck a cunning glance at me, then leaned into her neighbor and whispered something. Girl from the second row also leaned in. She shared something with them too. Whispers, nods. I kept catching her stare on myself. Her neighbor stared too. The whole class was watching me. It was like they felt the need to watch me because they were searching for traces of blood on my fingers. I wanted to defend myself and shout, "Guys, listen, I'm innocent!" The delinquents turned around and stared at me in silence. Their looks were dripped with malice. But why? What did I do to them? Their friend went missing and they're still focused on me. Suddenly I noticed Bishop drilling a hole in my nose with his eyes. It felt like I was about to point his finger at me and shoot at the top of his lungs. Everyone look! Brum snatched his glasses yesterday. And now that he has them back, murderer! But I remained silent as if there was nothing special at all about my glasses. I may be going mad, but I think Baisma knows something. He knows something, but he won't tell me what. Roma gave me a meaningful glance, as if reminding me of his promise. My aching temple reminded me of it. I needed to stay away from Polina. As if looking for protection, I clutched the ruler under my hand hurt. You don't have the Columbia to solve this. Who held a grudge against Bourbon? Who hit him yesterday, bullied him, and then... The metal ruler fell out of my weak fingers. It hit the floor with a jingle, and that made the other kids shudder. Kita bit her tongue and squirmed nervously. Chairs scraped against the floor. My classmates moved away from me, closer to the exit, towards the teacher's desk. It was not the only one to catch the wind of that change. Monka, Busha looked around and winced in contempt. Too bad that they weren't afraid of me like everyone else. Shut it. I bet you Bourbon just got whipped from his old hag and ran off. They'll soon find him. They'll find him all right. They'll find him all right. In a ravine with his stomach cut open. I gulped. I imagined Simone on the snowy blanket, his face, white like a fish belly, split down the middle by the crevice of his mouth, snowflakes falling onto his glassy eyes and filling up his throat. See? I could almost hear his condescending tone. It's not your fault. But why was Simon the only one to just get his just desserts for bullying me? Weren't all of them supposed to disappear? Monka, Busha, Katya, along with every laughing onlooker? Of course. Simon did me a favor by disappearing. Thanks to him, my classmates now stared at me in awe. But what was only one side of the coin? What if I'll have to repay the favor soon? The door creaked open. Polina entered the classroom. I straightened up in a hurry so she wouldn't see me looking like a scared critter. Polina found me with her large eyes, gave me a short nod, and went to her seat. Kasia rushed to her neighbor again, like a lab rat that saw a treat, started whispering, switching her gaze between me and Polina. Messages on pieces of paper started jumping around the classroom. The ringer trilled announced the start of the class. All right, stop messing around. Class, stand up. You too, Petrov. Lily Petrovova went to her desk, followed by a policeman in a uniform. It was the man that visited us just recently. Tall, and his stare was so sharp you could get cut on it. Hello, kids. Hi. You can sit down, kids. This is our senior lieutenant, Kostarov Vladimirovich Takharanov. He's going to be asking a couple of questions and give you a small PSA.
Лучше лекция от милиционера, чем уроки.
The class livened up. Talking to the policeman was way better than studying. I, on the other hand, was ready to sit through hundreds of hours of Russian literature just to escape the lieutenant's oppressive stare. His brown eyes felt around the classroom looking for me. Hair stood up on the back of my neck, and icicles had lodged in my gut. Is it true that Bourbon got killed by a serial killer? Shush, Sekata. Let the adult ask you questions here. We're all scared. Maybe the killer is somewhere close. Maybe we're even sitting among us. Her sly stare was directed at me. Tigalaw stepped in between the rows of desks and started walking excruciatingly slow pace, brushing his fingers against the chairs as passed by. Some of the students almost broke their necks following his movements. That's how a crowd of commoners would gleefully anticipate a public execution in the Middle Ages. And he just walked, getting closer and closer to me. I gritted my teeth to stop myself from screaming. Calm down, breathe. You didn't kill or kidnap anyone. He already knew the answer to his question, but the policeman still asked in a stern voice. Anton Petrovov? Yes. Stand up, Petrovov! My muscles turned to stone. I got up, unglued myself from the chair. I felt like I could hear all my joints creaking in the process. I only wished that Polina wouldn't turn around to see the grimace of horror on my face. If only I could be somewhere far away in the forest, digging myself into a snow pile, rolling up into a ball there. The officer stared at me as if he was about to lock a pair of handcuffs on my wrists. I wonder how cold those bracelets were to the touch. Imagine myself getting jailed and put into a juvenile detention center where tens of Simons would constantly harass me. I don't know anything. I have nothing to do with this. Nobody's accusing you of anything. For now. Only then did I notice a file that said case number in his hands and had a gray cover made from rough carton. I flopped onto my desk like a guillotine blade that slid down on someone's neck. With a measured motion, Kosovo opened the file, still studying me with his gaze. I caught a glimpse of the documented photos. They showed prints of the snow. They looked like animal prints. Have you talked to Seymour Burin before? I only knew him for a day. Everyone knows that Petrovov hated him. I turned red. You ugly bitch. I wanted to sink my teeth into Katrova's face and chew out her cheek. Instead, I replied with the calmest voice I could muster. We had a fight yesterday, but he started it. So I hit him. How hard did you hit him? Not that hard. I mean... I waved my hand indecisively. Toka looked at my fist as if he was surprised that I managed to hit the big kid from the photo. Surprisingly, Lilia Polovov came to my rescue. Urban is a troubled teen. A pain in the rear. I always picking fights with other kids. The officer replied with a meaningful nod and fished out a notebook out of the file. Is this yours? I averted my gaze. It was my math notebook with my name on it. My classmates devoured me greedily with their eyes. It felt like even when the writers on the portrait squinted at me suspiciously. Yes. We found it in the forest. In the area where the tractor driver who was plowing snow there last saw Bourbon. I started blinking in bewilderment. Ramonka ransacked my school bag. This notebook probably got lost somewhere in the bushes. The lieutenant knew about the school brawl, but was he aware of the fight in the forest clearing? I had witnesses that could testify to Simon, and I walked in different directions after that. I looked towards the boys, hopeful. Ramonka, who sat behind Tennikov, put a finger to his lips. When the officer quickly turned around, he pretended to pick his nose. I disheartened his signal. Boys like Ramonka would probably say something like, "Snitches get stitches" in this situation like this. I frantically fixed my glasses. Wait. Seaman took them away yesterday, but now they're... So, what are you doing in the forest yesterday, Anton? I go to school through the forest. I could have easily fallen out of my bag. Easily. Just like me producing his half-truth. Be careful out there. Before I could realize whether it was a genuine piece of advice or violent threat, the teacher said, "Class, the officer will now tell you about some rules that you should follow." So, the killer doesn't exist. Well, can't make any of this public now. Whether the criminal really exists or not, you should be mindful of your safety. The police, your parents, and your teachers will all watch over you, but no one guard you better than yourself. All right. Any questions? A stockade of arms rose from their desks. The kids shouted at each other, swarming the policemen with questions.
Покажите, пожалуйста. Охрану у школы выставят. Будет охрана.
Точно!
In an attempt to calm me down this chorus, I moved towards the blackboard. The gray file was left lying in front of me. I stared at it, my breathing so ragged that I might have looked like someone who just ran a 100-meter sprint. Beat the sweat rolled down my back. Looked around the classroom. My classmates were catching officers' every word. Only Ramonka was saying something to Vashya. Lily Polvia was staring into the window, fighting back yawns.
Объявлять комендантский час, причин пока нет. Слишком мало времени прошло с момента исчезновения.
As soon as I touched the folder, Ramonka laughed at me with his eyes. My hands instinctively moved away, as if I could stare actually hurt. The officer just kept staring at me without saying a word, making me squirm under the weight of his uncomfortable silence and the sneering look of my classmates. And then he suddenly continued his speech as if nothing had ever happened.
Вашего одноклассника.
I clenched my teeth from surprise, pushed myself into the back of my chair, blinking in bewilderment. The officer silently gathered the document and gave me a stern look. Well, aren't you a curious boy, Petrov? Let me say this again. If you see anyone suspicious in the village, be it near your school or the forest trails, contact the police immediately. You know your number, right? 02. Thanks for listening, boys and girls. Thank you, Lilia Pavlovna. And, we'll find your classmate. Yeah, right, a thought flashed through my mind. Dig through enough ditches and maybe you'll be able to piece them together. Legos. My thoughts turned to evil for some reason, and I couldn't control them. I tried to switch to the lieutenant's speech about suspicious individuals. What if I saw the killer before? What if I was a hair's breadth away from them? Suspicious people. How suspicious was the fox girl that wandered in the darkness? A weirdo that always appears out of nowhere and then dissolves into thin air with her riddles and rhymes? Could she really harm the hulking Simon? Should I tell the officer about her? Wait, what if I get mocked for speaking out? Ramonka gave me a stern look over his shoulder. I doubted someone like him would approve of cooperating with the police. Ketya's braid dangled nervously behind the delinquent sitting in front of me. My hand was glued to the desk.
До свидания, лейтенант.
Tungfa was saying goodbye to Lillian Palovana. He was about to leave. It'll be too late soon. Gonna stay silent because I don't see the Fox girl. She seemed too trustworthy. If you think about her, like, it was a little creepy the way she came out of the woods and stuff, or the darkness, but she could have killed me right there on the street with nobody noticing, in my opinion. I've had enough of humiliation. I'll keep my head down like a bunny and lock my fingers and zip my mouth. Avoid everyone's attention, quiet as a mouse. The bell rang. Lilia Polovia passed by without looking at me. Polina left after her. My classmates went silent at the same time, as if someone muted the TV on a sound. They followed me with their eyes the whole time. I was passing between the rows. Judgmental looks. It felt like I was the scope of many sniper rifles. I squeezed through the barricade, made of desks, looking for Polina. But I stumbled into my new buddies instead. Romoka swaggered up to me. Decided not to rat unless on the cops. I didn't say anything. But sure as fuck thought about it, huh? Romoka towered over me, breathing out a faint smell of tobacco. You're very wrong if you think that without Simon, you'll have a better time here. We'll make this place hell for you. Got it? See ya, Four Eyes. My head tilted forward from a slap. Later, loser! I wasn't surprised to find a note stuck to my back during break. It said, kick me. My nightmare clearly wasn't about to end. It's been 7 days since the lieutenant visited our class. At first glance, everything was still the same. The forest still held out its gnarly claws towards the village, and the wind whipped the white flags weaved from powdery snow every night. When my parents argued in the other room, I would turn up the TV's volume to silence their muffled voices and sit next to Olia. Volva's and Simon's photos were still 2 black spots on the notice board. But something did change. I could see how different the looks of my classmates were. They met me with a new portion of pokes and insults. Contempt, mockery, and loneliness became my faithful companions. But most importantly, a shadow slid across my desk, leaving behind a mysterious note. I glanced into the space between rows, but the messenger was already nowhere to be found. Who sent me this note? What could this carefully ripped out, neatly folded piece of paper be hiding from me? More threats or humiliation? Or... I took the piece of paper and carefully inhaled the wafting aroma. Blackberry. Blackberry! I'll be waiting at the cul-de-sac near the dressing room. Come alone. Inside was a message of beautiful handwriting. I'm waiting at a dead end near the dressing room. Come alone. Drunk on the sudden call, I immediately started walking, looking over my shoulder from time to time, making sure nobody's following me. Even though I suspected it could be another trap set up by Romoka and Bushia. First, this buzzing thought soon left my mind. The two of them didn't have enough combined brain power to fake Polia's note so carefully. I didn't even notice how I almost broke into a run and jumped around the corner. As soon as I did that, I rammed into somebody inside the dark nook. Ow! Like a magic bird, a green notebook glided to my feet. Polina puffed her cheeks in exertion, anger. Petrov, have you lost your cider completely? I fixed my glasses. My nearsightedness wasn't that embarrassing anymore. I bent down and picked up the notebook. Sorry, I was in a rush. Were you waiting for me? Did something happen? Polina's attitude changed from fake anger to softness. She stood there silent, probably picking out the right words. She had a worried and sad look in her eyes, as if she'd hoped that I'd continue the conversation and stop us from drawing into awkward silence. But I didn't say a word. I was just staring at her trembling lips. Finally, Lena heaved a deep sigh and started talking meekly. Anton, tell me, are you mad at me? I couldn't reply before she continued. Oh, of course you are. What's with this stupid question? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that to happen to you. Honest. When Pestefon, when that abuser kicked the doggy, it felt like I wasn't myself, you know? She sniffled, and even though it was already quite dark outside, I could notice her ocean-colored eyes sparkle. I know that that's wrong. It's wrong laughing at animals' abuse. I don't even want to think about your opinion of me. It must be. But I just can't help it, Anton. As soon as I remember Grandpa and the horrors he had to endure on that night when he got attacked by the pack of stray dogs, my mind becomes foggy. Lena's notebook in my hand was still waiting for me to return the rightful owner, but I just couldn't find the right moment to do that. You probably think I'm crazy, right? She looked at me with hopeful eyes while I was absentmindedly going over the crazy stuff that my subconscious was producing lately. I clearly wasn't qualified to judge someone's sanity. Sometimes I just can't control myself. But I'd never harm anyone, you hear? Not like the sadist Romonka. Please stay away from him, Anton. Something clicked in my head. I stared at Polina with suspicion. You called him differently a week ago, when we were fighting. Romochka. Say, are you two dating? Polina jolted as if struck by lightning. No way! That asshole is stuck to me like a bleach. People like him are not even deterred by direct insults. Her voice became calmer when she noticed the bruises and cuts on my face. Again, I'm very sorry for what happened. I really thought I would be able to help you. It was my mistake to think that bastards like them can have any sort of moral code. Here, I have a present for you. She unbuttoned the top of her jacket and instantly got embarrassed after noticing my stunned look. Then she took out an amulet of thick leather thread with a big animal claw on her neck and held it up to me. Grandpa gifted me this charm. He said that it helps against crazy and possessed. He got it from a certain shaman. You don't have to believe me, but the tragedy that befell him happened only on the only day when he forgot to wear it. I snuck another glance at the intensely scratched claw of an unknown beast. And who did it belong to? The claw, I mean. No. A bear or a tiger, maybe? You can find all sorts of animals in our forests. Anyway, please accept it along with my sincere apology. Well, this is so important for you. Alright, let's try to start over. I carefully hold the amulet in my free hand. In a minute, Polina's warm and charming aroma of blackberry. I hung it around my neck and hid it under my collar of my shirt. Along with the gift, I got a weird feeling of determination, as if this amulet would be able to change my life. Polina and I smiled at the same time, both of us feeling the ice wall between us slowly thaw. Thank you, Anton. Really, this really means a lot to me. Polina studied me with her eyes and clicked her tongue. Do you know what you look like, Atosha? Like Blues Improv. I blinked in bewilderment. What do you mean? I always associate people I know with something. I do that too, but why music? I can't be anything other than music. Some people are like guitar solos. Some are drums. People like our Lily Polovana are war marches. And you're so thoughtful, so much mysterious. Sometimes even a bit sad. You're definitely blues. And what about the improv part? It's when the listener has no idea where the melody will go, what tempo will be adopted. Of course, some of the things Polina said went completely over my head, but I couldn't stop looking at her smile, light like the breeze of May, and her eyes deep in blue. One needs to have experience and taste to recognize the music in you. You're not some pop music. I don't think I even know what blues is. Polina gasped and frowned, which made her look even more beautiful. Don't say something like that to my face! I'll make sure to give you a cassette. Grandpa used to bring me so much music from the city. Jazz, swing, and classical too. He was the one who noticed my musical mindset. When I was still very little, I tried recording the sounds of nature on paper, the songs of the rain and the forest. I wish I had ears like yours. And I'd love to have your eyes. I tensed up, worried that she was making fun of me, but Polina shook her head. No, I'm serious. You have the eyes of an artist. You're so good at picturing things. I can't do that. Continue to walk past us with the trademark frosty glare. We dove into the shadows trying to escape it. You understand why we're hiding here, right? Because of people like her. What kind of melody is Katya? Polina flashed a sly smile. The squeaking sound of unoiled door hinges. You know this nasty descent? I giggled, covering my mouth. Katya didn't hear our whispers, but she suddenly glanced over her shoulder, clearly annoyed. A moment later, she sighed and went her way. I remembered about the notebook I was still clutching in my hand. Turned it in my hands. Friends only, Polina Morazu. Instead of a subject name, the front side had a name of the owner in 2 words. Friends only. Curiosity killed the cat, you know. I'm sorry, is this a questionnaire? Have you ever filled one? I lied that I had. In reality, girls' classmates from previous schools had never asked me to fill out their questionnaires. It was quite upsetting. I mean, I was a girl hobby. You just answer questions, a set of standard questions about your favorite actors and colors, but entrusting someone with such a notebook was a sign of friendship. And maybe of something even more. Something I only had a vague idea about. You can fill mine in if you want to. My heartbeat quickened. I do, thank you. Polina giggled. Actually, there's so many secrets there. You'd be better off not knowing what the girls think. She reached for the notebook, playing with me. I tossed my findings into my free hand. Polina tried to intercept my move. Her hair briefly touched my face, tickled my nose, and its silky locks. I sensed an aroma that immediately filled the whole world. Fragrant, alluring, lively. If only I could picture it, steal it for myself. I felt dizzy, but I gathered myself and spoke in a voice reminiscent of a Lieutenant Chekhov. Your questionnaire is an important piece of evidence, so I'm afraid I have to confiscate it for further examination. Polina covered her mouth at rounded in fake horror. And what an implications of concealing evidence? We'll decide that in our course of our investigation. I surrender, Mr. Policeman. Just promise you won't read anything. It's full of sensitive information. I'm afraid I'll have to investigate whether someone is in love with Mr. Petrov. Polina burst out laughing and pressed herself against my chest, showering me with the aroma of her hair and her milky skin that looked almost transparent, with tiny threads of my veins running under it. Her whisper was hot, like a piece of butter sizzling on a pan. And swear that you will keep this information private. I swear on my police badge. And now we need to hurry. Antosha. Oh, why? Why in the middle of class, bro? Took out the notebook during class. With utmost care, as if it was some sort of fragile treasure. Came through it, reading into other people's preferences. I was quite surprised to discover Monka's jerky handwriting inside. February, hung out buying a BMW. Stallion, Schwarzenegger, don't trust, don't fret, don't ask. 31587, DuckTales, bish. His letters bulged out of the cells as if embarrassed by their shapelessness. Here's some Romka found time for something so silly. I chuckled into my fist after I found out that Romka's favorite cartoon is not even Darkwing Duck, but DuckTales. Somewhere in the distance, a teacher was reciting pieces of Andros Snapper. I paid them no mind. Helena's page was decorated with flowers, drawings, and clippings from the Cool Girls magazine. Listening, see the world, Robert Schumann, losing people I love. Musician, favorite musician was Schubert. Best friend was her grandpa. Her hobby is not violin, like I expected, but it's much more mysterious. Listening. Can such a mundane process really be someone's hobby? I look over at Polina over the heads of the other students. She was focused on taking notes. I flipped the pages until I found a blank one and armed myself with a pen. Antov Petrov, class 6B. It took a long time to decide my favorite musician until a trendy pop band, Barman, came to mind with the cool dancers in their music videos. Favorite holiday? That one's easy. New Year's. My hobby is drawing. My dream? Going to Disneyland, I guess. My hero? Hands moved on their own writing. Death. I stopped with those two letters. What if those who read this after me find my answers laughable and stupid? After thinking for a bit, I decided that not everything should be disclosed on paper. That's how Da turned into Spider-Man. The spelling was wrong, but who cares? Your biggest fear, huh? I immediately wrote losing a person who's dearest to me. Your phone number? No secret here, 30395. Your favorite cartoon? Transformers. Your best friend? I hesitated, gnawing at the pen's cap. Your best friend. I read the question out loud. It was easy, but at the same time, very important. My answer consisted of 3 letters, and it filled them in the cells with care. You. Interesting. You, I repeated with running out of school. Refreshing frosty air made my cheeks turn beet red. It was bright outside, and the sun looked like a whole egg yolk. The road looked as if it was slivered. The snow sparkling under the sunlight smiled, squinting from the blinding dark whiteness. There was also something magical in my chest that beckoned me. Because friendship can grow into something bigger. Hey, what's up with this stupid grin? My numb lips immediately shrank. Biasha was shuffling his feet in the middle of the yard, his boots restless on the ice. It's not a grin. I tried to go around him, to no avail. Lady Fortune waved me goodbye, disappearing in the early twilight. In a hurry, huh? A little bit. Dad is waiting for me. I'll shoot him a paper message that you're not coming, eh? My eyes flinched unwillingly, my skin dampened. Let's go, eh? We have some small business to discuss. I felt chills run all over my body. I didn't like the sound of that. Small business. Those words accompanied by spitting normal hide, very dark D's underneath them. Strangers that used to call our old apartments used to say, "Get your old man, we have a small business to discuss." Bishop turned around and looked like an astronaut in his tight hood. If I were to imagine him as a sound, he'd be the deafening whistle, a signal given by someone who stands watch. To my demise, There was nobody at the backyard. Apart from the grin-faced Romonka. He stood there, his feet wide apart, with his right hand hidden behind his back. Romonka's dry lips were tightly pursed. He kept shooting glances at me as if he were looking around. From the bottom of my heart, I hoped that Romonka hadn't seen me together with Polina. There he is, huh? I can see that. Well, hello there, Antosha. What do you want? He slowly took out a thin, carnivorous, shiny blade from behind his back. A knife, the steel butterfly of death that flies towards the victim's heartbeat. I stepped back instinctively and rammed my back into Bushka. Romonka's minion pushed me back. We wanted to know. Do you have any hard feelings for me or Bushka? Romonka started picking on his yellow nail, looking at me with an evil smirk on his face. Well, there in the forest, we kinda roughed you up. It's just our poor upbringing, you know? Yeah, not as cultured as you city folk. So, we get feisty sometimes. I nodded, my eyes glued to the knife. Say, Antosha, did I, by chance, go too hard on you last time? Not really. Wonderful! I almost got worried that I damaged your brain, and you forgot about the lesson I taught you. I remember. The blade glowed under the settling sun. Romonka's eyes had that evil glow. He stepped towards me. His knife traveled inches away from my coat. One movement of steel would cut into my clothes, and if he pushed deeper... A little birdie told us that you were snooping around Polina again. I was so scared that it took me a while to remember who Polina was. My brain was malfunctioning, my knees were shaking. Suddenly, our class rep slowly walked up to Romonka from behind. You see, you boys are getting along quite well. I owe you one, Katya. Oh, no need, thank me, Romonka. I'm always fighting for true love. Yes, yes, yes! I'll kill you, I swear. I can't hear you. Were you near Polina or not? Well, we didn't hang out or anything. The only thing hanging out here will be your guts when I cut open your stomach. The blade slid across my sleeve, and with a dull slide, it reached my collar. The wind made my face cold, but the bead of sweat still trickled from my temple. I guess I need to explain it in a way you'll understand. The split-up handle of the blade spun in a dangerous dance, like a helicopter blade that swept away everything in their way. I tried to dodge, but after taking a step backwards, I slipped and fell on my butt. I'm waiting for the opportunity. Polina's amulet lunged from under the collar towards the blade. Oh, shit. The leather cord prevented the claw from piercing the assailant's neck, and the charm fell into my chest with a thud. I expected to be cut so badly that I end up choking on my own blood. But for some reason, Romonka just stood there, staring at me. He had his knife ready to cut, but his eyes were fixated on the bobbing hanging over my neck. He growled something evil under his breath. Polina's gift was driving Romonka crazy, but it tied his hands at the same time. He paused, lasted so unnaturally long that it made Bushka frown in confusion. The sound of creaking windows opened, coming from above. Petrofov! I felt the rush of adrenaline and sprinted away, almost taking off into the air. Romonka came to his senses when I was already far away, so he shouted his dreadful warning at my back. Don't you dare forget again! Antosha! Damn. Fuck's up with that amulet, bro? The aftermath of horrible water, I drank down my meds that lingered in my mouth. My thoughts were focused on Polina.
В общем,
Да,
я сегодня
ага,
книжку
да.
читала, там ребята учились в
Ага,
школе, прям как
да.
ты ходишь в школу, и они в школу ходили.
Да-да.
Вот. И у них был какой-то праздник, и они там поделки лепили и делали все своими руками. Нужно было сначала принести природные материалы.
I wandered around the house,
всякие
feeling
там,
intoxicated
потом
and nodding to
ещё
everything my sister said
шишки,
without
и
trying to
потом
discern
они
her
всё это
words.
разбирали и клеили на
Да,
бумагу.
да.
И друг
Olia
другу
was talking
дарили,
nonstop,
открытки делали,
at
там
times lifting her arms and
всякие
laughing, only then to
ящички,
suddenly go
которые
quiet
потом
and give my
подарки
mom's
нужно было
signature
класть.
gnarly look.
И
А?
I was yanked out of the prison of my own mind, where seething thoughts packed my brain like harpies stood, stopping me from coming back to reality. I stared back. Olia looked like a mini version of our mom right now. Well, to be precise, she looked like the person Mom turned into when we moved here, with her intimidating posture and her eyebrows directed towards the ceiling. You weren't listening to me, were you? She tried spitting out those words at me, coping facial expressions of the person she spent almost all her free time with. For a moment, I felt like the light Olia excluded for all those years waned and wavered in the wind of prolonged chances. Very soon, my beautiful princess will turn into the dragon that was once guarding her prison tower. That thought was much scarier to me than any other horror sneaking up from me from the future. Sorry, Olia. I didn't want to make you mad, I just got lost in thought. I looked around the room, my gaze jumping from one object to another like a hungry beast, trying to find anything that could distract Olia. Let's play on the console. Olia pouted, but there was a spark of interest in her small emerald eyes. The Snow Queen's ice shards inside them started thawing. What about the second controller? It's not working. And Dad has no time to fix it. We can play with the light gun. What do you want to play? Cowboys? Ducks? You're better than me at both. Oh, come on. You must have been practicing the whole time I was away from home. Olia burst out laughing. Her heart was warm once again. How did you know? But I'm a good shooter now. You've already lost. I picked the wrong fight here. Come on, turn it on. Little Olia jumped towards the TV set, and after flicking the power switch, started blinding feeling around the back of the photon, trying to plug in the controller cable into the antenna input. Bits of TV show started flashing on the CRT screen. When I armed myself with the remote to look for a channel with the sought-after Dindy signal. Did anything interesting happen at home? It was a mundane question for me. I didn't put any actual meaning behind it. But Olia's expression suddenly changed. She lost all the childish nonchalantness she'd worked so hard to acquire before. What happened, Olia? My sister managed to put the cable in its place and started brushing off the dust-covered hands. She was clearly looking for the courage to continue the conversation. Mom, Olia went silent, and for a moment I thought I saw tears welling up in her eyes. She had this scary thing happen to her again. My sister looked at me with her wet eyes. She had a fit, huh? This had happened before, but it was a rare occasion. Now that we moved to this godforsaken place, Mom's fits rose in frequency. Dad brought home this big fish. It was wrapped in newspaper and had a foul smell. Mom got angry again, and then she took a knife. Olia squirmed, looking fearfully out the window, and started screaming at each other. I froze, imagining my little sister so small and unnoticeable standing in the kitchen doorway. She wasn't even trying to hide our parent, just paid her no mind at all. And then Mom stuck it like this. Olia slightly moved her fist downward, imitating a strike. She hit the fish. It was still alive, Tasha. It might have been in pain, and Mom. It was easy to imagine what happened next. The writhing fish with the blade between its fins squirted some foul-smelling musk into Mom's face. Whenever death got this close to my mom, be it when a person was hit by a bus in front of us and their blood was smeared all over the windshield, or when Grandma chopped off a chicken's head, Mom would always get into a weird, dreadful fit. Her eyes would roll over, she would fall on her face like a freshly cut tree and start writhing just like an agonizing fish, turning our chairs and blurting out bits of scary sentences. And what about Dad? Did he help her? Olia shuddered, as if she just remembered it pained her. Yes, but at first... He started laughing, Tosha! He let out an evil laugh when he saw that Mom was in trouble. But then he cried. Olia's story made me raise an eyebrow. It seemed like the forest oozing madness had not only completely consumed our mom, but also infected our strong and courageous dad. I quickly stepped towards Olia and locked her in a tight embrace. She dug her face into my chest and I could feel my shirt become wet. Why are they bullying each other, dog? Are they crazy? I stuttered, unable to justify the actions of our parents. I had run out of words, and all I could do was hug Olia even tighter. Olia screamed, then hid behind me. Turn it off, quick! No matter how many times she saw this intro, she would always react the same. Just like when she saw that owl. I mean, I also got goosebumps at the time that ghastly face appeared on my screen, so I immediately compiled with my sister's requests. Finally, the game selection screen showed up by the cartridge that was bundled with the console. Too bad most of the names here were just different levels of the same game. I picked up the gray rectangular controller and started looking around the pixelated letters to find the familiar English word for duck. Background music from the menu soothed Olia's mind, and she asked in a calm voice, "How are things at school? You became friends with a girl? Is she pretty?" I got embarrassed. Well, I don't know. Ha! You're red. She must be very pretty. Stop it, Olia. You got a crush on her. Olia, keep acting like this and I won't play with you. Haha, I was just joking. Will you introduce us? Maybe. What's her name? Polina. You turn red again. Where will you live when you get married? Are we playing or not? I plugged the light gun into the second controller port, listening to my sister's laughs. I go first. Oh shit, I didn't mean to kill that one. Let's get dangerous. Ha! Who wants some more? Oh, duck hunt, yeah. I'm trying to let her win. I'm trying to let her win. Yes, made your sister happy. Yes. Bang, bang. They're all dead. You've lost, Tosh. I'll take the loss for that smile. My mom only managed to get through to me on her third attempt. Anton, there's a call for you. The girl. I sobered up in an instant and rushed to the hallway. What's your step? I grabbed the phone and pressed it into my chest, looking at my mom. She shrugged and went to the room, gathering the toys thrown around by Olia as she went. Hello? Your mom has such a young voice. Well, yeah, I mean, she's young. Are you busy now? No, of course not. If only she knew how costly this conversation could be for me. What risks I took on just answering this call. There were a pen and a shabby notepad laying on the nightstand. I picked them up and started moving the tip of the pen across the paper, producing chaotic doodles that always ended up turning into hearts. I read your answers. Do you really like Carmen? I like Russian rock more, to be honest. But I was too embarrassed to put it there for some reason. And do you want me to be honest with you too, Antosh? Of course. My pen drew an outline of a girl's face, her eyes, her long eyelashes. Polina spoke in a hushed voice, probably to keep her grandpa from hearing. I'm bored to death here. At all? In the village. There's nothing going on here, and if there is, it's always something nasty. It's not even about the missing kids. There's almost no music here. Don't you have your cassettes? I'm not talking about the audio records. I mean, this place's voice. It's not melodic at all. It's rusty like a record player needle. It just squeaks and moans from time to time. It feels uncomfortable, suffocating. I don't know how else to explain this. My pen's tip drifted a house surrounded by tall trees. I think I know what you mean. My sister says that she feels like a prisoner here. Me too. I love Grandpa. I don't want to abandon him. Sometimes I just want to escape so badly, somewhere very far away. Into the forest, I thought half-heartedly. To run under the falling snowflakes to make your fur white and the branches that hide you from praying eyes. When I drew, I feel like I'm transported into another place. Same for me with the violin. I ran up the bow straight to the sky. I realized I was drawing a butterfly and I crossed it out. Thinking of Romolka ruined my mood. Before I could reply, Olia descended the stairs. She was holding some book in a pink cover, encyclopedia of a young lady. Will you take long? I covered the headset with my hand. I'm in the middle of conversation. What happened? Read me a bedtime story, please. Mom fell asleep. Go to your room. I'll be there in a minute. Just be quick, okay? Fine. My last reply sounded excessively annoyed. I sighed, watching my sister running up the stairs. Sorry, I need to run. Me too. Thank you for lending me an ear. My ear vibrated from the buzzing sound. I dragged my feet to the second floor, thinking of the girl I shouldn't talk to if I don't want to die from a knife wound. I wish I could tell Dad, ask him for manly advice. But he doesn't show up home until late at night because of his new job. My parents don't have time for me, to put it lightly. Well, where's the book? I studied. The kids' room was empty. Olia? She probably snuck into my room. I started walking down the corridor. The room was infested with shadows. The blinds were weavily, like they were someone behind them. I smiled, sneaking towards the window and threw open the curtains. Gotcha. There was nobody behind the cloth. The window was a TV screen showing wintry scenery. The lamp post, the field, a couple of walking figurines in the middle of the night. Olia. I gasped and pressed my fist to my mouth, sinking my teeth into it. Alicia was leading Olia into the thicket. Run! Run, I say, run! I needed less than a minute to be hurriedly dressed and rushed out the house. My heart was beating like the firing machine gun. The wind carried a cold, resilient smell of coniferous trees from the forest. Freezing air crackled somewhere in the field. The two shadows loomed in front of the gate. I could only recognize them as my sister and the fox girl because of their height. I ran towards the fence, listening to the howling wind and the squeaking snow. One of the figures moved and slowly guided towards the thicket like an ice skater. I slowed down and touched my glasses, trying in vain to adjust my vision to the surrounding darkness. Worry landed on my shoulders like a weightless snowflake. A snake woke up in my belly and I started writhing. I felt nauseous. I thought about my home, the flimsy fortress I'd left behind. I finally caught up with my sister, dressed in only a coat. Olia? Have you seen the foxy? Olia, what did you go outside? If Mom finds out... My sister froze in place, facing the Tiga. She was in a hand's reach, and I put my numb wrist on her shoulder for some reason, probably to make sure it wasn't a dream. A pointy beak was directed at me. Stern, the feathers that formed an owl's face. Something wearing a bird's mask was staring at me. Hoot, 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 she won't. The voice sounded exactly like Olia's, but there was somebody else hiding under the feathers in a carton. I sprinted away as if I got whipped. The masked creature only pretended to be Olia, just to lure me out. I was running like crazy, drowning in snow. The house in front of me was rapidly growing. The yellow light of the windows granted my hope. My mom, my sister there, my salvation! I could hear anything from behind me, as if nobody was chasing me. Maybe it's because the owls can fly. I was already climbing the porch when I noticed another figure. From the soot-black shadows of the house, a scruffy wolf cub crawled out and stood in my way. Its movements were jerky, chaotic, as if it was performing some terrifying dance, or convulsing during a stroke. And even though I could clearly see that the wolf's face was a mask, something in this werewolf's convulsions made me freeze in place. The boy in the wolf's costume rubbed my side against the porch post and fell to his knees. He bent his back so hard that I expected his spine to crack. The beast-sized shoot. But it didn't attack. It kept crawling around and running on all fours. I shifted my feet, my mouth agape, trying to keep him from my line of sight. Something was trickling from the slit in his mask. Vicious drops fell on the wooden planks. Saliva. Something unknown force pushed me in the back, whispering me to save myself. The fence was flashing by at the edge of my vision. I was running in another direction this time, towards the toothy edge of the forest that smelled of pine. My heartbeat measured time. The wolf boy growled behind my back as if he'd forgotten its human nature. My right leg got stuck in the snow, levelly cavitying. I yanked it out, cursing under my breath, and fell to the ground. Plastering snow prevented me from standing up, from propping myself against anything. But my unbound thirst for life helped me get out of this trap. Darkness was creeping closer, like the toxic fumes of the burial prayers. I ran again, gasping for air that stung my throat, my hair swaying in the wind. I lost my hat when I fell down, and my ears were not hot from the freezing cold, while most of my body was still sweating. The field finally ended. After realizing that running into the forest wasn't the smartest decision I could make, I dove into the line of trees. I ran out without stopping, my face covered with one of my palms. I didn't want to lose an eye from some random branch. Branches whipped my clothes, pricked my skin like butchers that were herding a pig into the grinder. A knot of roots sprouted from the ground, grabbing at my foot. I rammed into the scratchy trunk, slid down to its base, and looked around in a panic. Whew, you're fast! My first desire was to dash towards her and hug her. I resisted it and squeezed myself even tighter into the pine. What are you doing here? This and that. She was holding the hat I'd lost. Working part-time and lost and found. But, put it on, your ears will freeze and maybe even fall off soon. She giggled. I squinted in suspicion and shifted my gaze back to the fork between her and the hat. scared that Alyssa might be holding a severed head or something even more sinister. But in the end, my hat turned out just to be my hat. I took it and pulled it over my forehead. Feeling warmer yet? I didn't reply. There were the children in the yard. And did they bite you or something? No. Then why did you run away? The answer was obvious, but after rolling the thoughts on my tongue, I mumbled, I don't know. Ah, why did I promise to never call you a dunce again? Oh well, I keep my promises. She walked up to me and grabbed me by the elbow. I sensed a familiar aroma of mint, oranges, and burnt sparklers. I wanted to lean into Alice to savor the minute detail of her smell. How many times do I need to tell you? You're safe as long as you're with me. I'm your friend. And they are too. I quickly turned around towards the place the fox girl was pointing to. Kids in mass appeared at the clearing. At least they looked like kids since they were all pretty short. A wolf boy, an owl girl, and a bear boy. They all huffed and gasped for air, clearly tired from running around. I thought you fell through the snow. Started digging around, couldn't find you. And I didn't care enough. You see, if you're dumb, you run around and dig. And if you're smart, you wait until the others get tired of running around and digging. Then you start lacking. You're a rat. Rat. Huh? Don't mind him, he's a weirdo. I stood there stupefied, my mouth agape and my hands dangling helplessly. I had no idea how to react to the words of these late-night guests, but I managed to squeeze out something resembling a smile. You just scared me, that's all. They started looking at each other, and somebody maybe snorted as if I said something funny. Yes, the fox is right. He's the one. No, that's ours. Have you finally found him? Our bunny? Yes, he looks the part. The wolf boy started wagging part of his costume like he was a tail of excitement. First. Of course you were first. Wolfie here was the first to sense the bunny in you. He told us about you. Hello? And you've already met our Hootie before. She isn't that scary, is she? I guess. And this smiling big guy is Teddy. What? I see you've also dropped your sense of humor somewhere along the way. I was still unsure if these particular little animals had the best intentions in mind, so I hid my hands behind my back, trying to look away from the gaping holes in their carnival masks. Alice put her hands on her sides in a theoretical manner and somehow managed to wink with her fox face. Next time we come, we'll ring the bell for you. That way, you'll be less scared of our visit. Do we even have any bells? I won't be ringing. My paw hurts. My smile was no longer fake. And to show you our teeth, that's a good sign. I didn't expect you to find us fun. I thought it was an emotional reservation strictly to Disneyland. How did you know that? I read about it somewhere. Okay, so my suspicion still is true. I think that's Polia. I think that's Polia. The bear, Mr. Berry Boy, is going to be, what's his face that disappeared? That's my suspicion as of now. I think the wolf is the other kid that disappeared. I have no idea who the owl is, though. You read about me? Aren't you funny? No, about Disneyland, darling. You can read human? Do you think I've been going to school every day for nothing? Ah, I knew it! And then she sang, I knew it! Dude, I knew it from the moment I met her, bro. The moment I met Polina, I knew it.
Как детей не замечать, как мечты их развенчать. Учат в школе, учат в школе, учат в школе. Крепко-накрепко вломить, с детства слабеньких чморить. Учат в школе, учат в школе, учат в школе.
Where to hit kids every week. Where to prey on all the meek. At your local school, of course, and your classroom. I let out a cautious laugh. My new acquaintances didn't seem any scary anymore. On the contrary, they looked friendly and welcoming. There was something about them that attracted me. Just like this cleaning this noon and the snowflakes that fell backwards from the ground to the sky, as if someone was rewinding a tape. The masked kids got close and I felt her touch. They gave me friendly taps, felt my clothes as if I checking whether I was real. There was no animalistic malice in your touch, only pure childish curiosity. For some reason, I thought to myself, I can trust them. Snowflakes just kept on floating upwards. Nobody will hurt you anymore. Friend. Yeah, if anybody ever tries to. The fox gave me a slight tug and burst out laughing. Well then, Tosh, will you run away screaming from, or come with us? Where to? The amusement park! At that moment, Taiga's deceptive silence broke by the sound of distant flute. Mesmerizing and alluring, it brought about the ring of crystal glass and the whispers of a fresh winter spring. If I had any doubts before, the flute sing shattered the last of them. I started following my new friends before I even make the decision. My legs carried me from their own will, and the tunnels made of pine stepped apart. Bushes bowed in the front of our process, and everything looked dreamlike. Because even the clearing we ended up in, only I saw in my dream. The flute soared up the treetops like some fantastical bird. Snowflakes floated up in a spiral. The moon painted tree branches with silver. Alyssa gasped in amazement. It was also an awe. I tilted my head backwards as far as I could. Hoot, what a cool sight. It's so beautiful. Wolfie howled in agreement. This is nothing. I can show you much more. If you want. I wanted to see what the fox girl saw with her eyes, hidden in the semi-dark of her cape. Now I didn't feel weird about these masked kids. I felt weird for being the only one without a mask. Felt like I was naked in January winds. Why do you wear these masks? I was trembling, but I wasn't scared. My trembling wasn't caused by the cold. It originated from the particular anxiousness, the anticipation of something amazing. Why do you ask? I touched my cold cheek. I'm not wearing one. I love human tails. Human tails? Human fails. I've already told you. All the villagers wear masks. It's just you won't find anything human underneath them. Even me? You're so clumsy, Anton. You've already found your glasses once already. And your hat. And your real face. I looked at the mask the fox was holding out to me. A bunny mask that looked like a silver ingot underneath the moonlight. I was curious to see the world through its slits. Suddenly, fighting its way through the flute's melody, a thought came to me. The glasses they found were in Simon's possession. My new acquaintances must have known what had happened to him. Or even worse. And where did Simon disappear to? What happened to him? And the other children? The bear and the owl looked at each other. The wolf curled into a ball and the fox lowered her pointy nose of her mask. The one who was kept in a cage. The one who cuts into her fur into little pieces for her. The one who wears a skin face took them. If I knew how to cross myself, I'd do it. So you're saying it was a human? Were you even listening to us? How could you call someone like him a human? There's just one word for him. An adult. It's easy to get lost in an adult world. Killers. Cruel animal tamers and cold parents. If you don't want to get sad, better not think about them. I don't know about you, but I definitely don't want to be sad. Somehow, I'm also not sad today. What about you, Anton? Huh? I was lost in thought, staring at the pines, trying to pinpoint the location of the flute. I was sure that the person who played it was standing right behind the piney stockade. Someone tall going over the holes in the flute with their long fingers. What now? Are you gonna sit and be sad or have some fun? Elise wanted to show me something. Let's start with the sweet stuff. The box girl took out a handful of candy from her pocket and handed them to each of the kids. Covers shuffled and the smell of pineapple, coca, and melon wafted through the air. Whoa. The last treat of chocolate covered a waffle candy. Melissa put it right into my mouth. My tongue was engulfed in spiciness. Felt like my body was covered in fur, and small sparks were running along it. I chewed on the waffle and chocolate, gulped them down, enjoying the vivid taste.
Спасибо.
Thanks. My gratitude was barely audible because my lips were already touching the inside of the mask. I didn't even notice how I put it against my face. The papier-mâché was warm, the mask stuck in my skin, giving it a nice prickle. The kind when you dive into a hot bath after being outside in the winter, when you lie there and purr from the soapy water. See? I told you, this is yours. Mine. What are we waiting for, then? The fun won't have itself. You're right. The melody kept swirling in the field like a hurricane. I cannot wait to release the energy, the heat that his enchanting music is filling me with. Damn. The owl jumped and disappeared into the sky. I heard her laughter from somewhere above, and then she landed back, huffing and sighing. You could do it too. Give it a try. I followed suit. My feet tore off from the ground. I flew towards the stairs like a rocket and screamed from happiness after seeing my friends far below. The wind helped me fly. It felt like I was jumping on a huge trampoline. The stars looked like the vivid sparkles that I could reach and lick up. The moon also got closer, and then I plunged. I got scared that I broke my legs for a moment, but my soles landed softly on the ground and I regained my balance. You're safe with us, and all your dreams will come true. I'm so happy that I finally found you, Bunny. In a fit of mirroring laughter, I realized the most important thing. These four are not a threat. My real enemies, and I felt that with every single hair on my mask, were those who knew nothing about magic. Humans from the village. I also realized how alive my surroundings have become. I heard the dry grass under the snow moan. I saw faces of the trees and the stars. The trees were smirking and the stars were grimacing in fear. Oh, that face. That's right. Be scared. I'll jump up to you and... I snapped my teeth and then let out a jubilant laugh, jumping up along with the fox. We flew higher than the tallest pines and stayed in the air. I swirled. Alice followed my rhythm. I knew what she was smiling, so I smiled too. And the flute just kept on playing, carrying us higher and higher. Hey. Did someone put a spell on you? That someone was standing next to me, I thought, trying to unclog my chin from the desk. My muscles felt slightly sore, but that feeling was pleasant. The whole class was wondering about for some reason, whispering and passing notes to each other. Their faces looked like discolored masks to me, bleak and boring. I yawned, remembering the time I was soaring high above the forest with Alyssa by my side, laughing and squeezing my hand. Perhaps, no, probably, it was just all a dream. Because I didn't walk back from the forest, just woke up in my bed on a normal morning with tea and medicine. Still, I was hardly worried about trying to find a rational explanation for my night dance. The feeling of flight was much more important. The knowledge of how I feel about hanging in the air above the treetops of majestic pines and baring my teeth at the moon. Sorry, I got lost in thought. Have you heard about Katya? Huh? Oh, shit. I glanced at the empty seat in front of me. Katya went missing. My sleepiness was gone in an instant. I frowned in suspicion. What do you mean? That can't be! So the fox had brown eyes. That was episode 3. Damn, that was pretty dope. I don't think I have time for another episode. So that was chapter 3 of our episode 3 of Tiny Bunny. There's 2 more, and I will definitely be doing I'll be doing the last 2 events coming here soon. But I hope you guys enjoyed the narration, and I will see you guys next time. Deuces. I will upload that one to YouTube and get that going. I don't think I actually have time for another one. If I read another one, I think it'll take me until like midnight. So I'm just gonna do it another night. Yeah. So I thought Alyssa was her, but the problem is in this capture shot, the wolf had amber eyes, not green. So that's why I'm ruling it out. The outfit definitely sounds like the fox outfit for sure.